Joining me tonight is guest host Mark Patterson, good friend of mine. He's going to be joining us for the hour to talk about whatever we feel like. Basically, he's a sound healer. He was given his ability to heal others through sound in a near-death experience. He channels pure tones that match various singing bowls, and he's often called a human singing bowl. Maybe he'll sing for us tonight. His uncanny abilities are well documented in award-winning films such as The Sound of Stillness, and he has also been featured in the documentaries A Hope for Humanity and Real People, Real Shifts. He's also author of A Mystic's Way. And Mark's going to be joining me tonight to talk to you guys about what's going on. We're live. You can call in. You can chat with Mark and I. If you have questions or if you would like us to tap into energy, whatever it is, give us a call. We'll be willing to take a look at what you have going on. So welcome, Mark. Thanks for joining me tonight.
Hey, Hillary. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. Well, we're finally here. We've been talking about doing this for a while. I know you and I have communicated several times trying to get this to happen, so here we are.
We are here, yes. The future is now, so we're definitely ready, and I think this is going to go over well, and looking forward to helping people out there. If you have any questions or comments, you want to give us a call, feel free to do so.
I know when I had originally talked to you, Mark, I was inquiring about doing a show together where we could kind of go back and forth on a couple different topics. And I know one of the things that I've been writing about a lot lately and talking about a lot lately on the air and other places is what I call the divine male and the divine female energies and how we are moving into a new stratosphere, if you will, of interrelationships between people and how we can really move into that stance with others in whatever way, shape, or form we interact with them and honor the divinity in each of them and how that changes the interaction. So I know we haven't really prepared much for the show, but I think that's the spontaneous nature of the moment of now, don't you? So maybe we can just kind of go and see what comes. When I talk about that, what goes through your mind?
Well, when you talk about the divine male or the divine female, it's my opinion that we're talking about someone that really embraces their gifts and their gifts of intuition and what they're excited about and their passion. And unfortunately, I think a lot of, especially men, we confuse our gifts with our sexuality we out conquesting women, and that's not our gifts. Our gifts are of our heart, and what's the greatest or the largest undiscovered treasure is what's in your heart. And so many of us can squander a whole life without knowing who we really are because we don't take the time to discover what's in our heart. They say that the biggest journey a man or a woman will take is at 18 inches from the heart to the mind, or we should say from the mind to the heart. And that divine energy, the divine masculine and divine feminine, really come from that heart space, that place of love, intuition, compassion, and passion, and really embracing and remembering who we really are. And I've said this many times throughout the years, that life was never meant to be a struggle. Is that what happens is that we struggle with who we really are, and that one of the great truths of the Essenes was that life is just a mirror of what's going on within us. And so as we struggle with who we really are, life becomes a struggle. But when we allow that place of love, compassion, forgiveness to come from within, then we get into that state of called flow, and we really just allow things. And when we look at the planet and what's going on the planet and the craziness of the planet, or the insanity, even though I do the insanity workout, the insanity of the planet is we have the actual polarities of that dynamic masculine energy that's shifting more into that magnetic, receptive, feminine energy, and just that place of allowing. And that's kind of what I feel in a nutshell is happening with the dynamic, or the divine masculine and the divine feminine. And we have different archetypes, whether it be Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, or Mary Magdalena, Princess Diana. I know that you post a lot of things about Princess Diana, and she was definitely an avatar incarnate and really influenced the masses and had a huge heart of compassion and was really involved in a lot of really good things on the planet. And she unfortunately passed way, way, way too soon.
Yeah, well, I don't think she passed on her own. I think that was definitely done to her. But what's interesting is that when we have somebody of her stature who is able to reach a tremendous amount of people, we have somebody who is vibrating on a very high level. We have somebody who is resonating and generating a tremendous amount of love energy. And, so it's really effective in getting that feeling across to people all across the planet because she's so visible. So many people know who she is. And then again, we also have the avatars who are on this planet who aren't necessarily on, TV at night. People don't know their name. They're not a household name. And they're doing the same thing, and they're doing it very well. You mentioned something when you were first talking about men having the ability to be able to go from love being a sexual thing to love being a universal thing. But we also have to, and what I'd like to talk about tonight too, is how to bridge that sexual energy back into the divinity, to the divine energy, to be able to catalyst itself into higher realms of multidimensional access, and how and why that's so important. Because what I think happens is men oftentimes, and please tell me if I'm wrong, Mark, they go into this space, they go into the sexual space, they're very comfortable there. We have technically gone from the fourth world to the fifth world according to indigenous prophecy, and we're here now, and so we are trying to kind of, make peace with the old ways of doing things. And I think this is one of the old ways of doing things, where it's about conquest, it's about going after as many women as you can, and that's kind of an old way of being with feminine energy. And men are now having to learn how to divine a different way of being with women so that they can embrace the feminine energy, because without it, there is a drastic unbalance that goes on that we're watching manifest in the world. And I think the reason we're watching so much chaotic energy happen right now, if you're watching the headlines or you're paying attention to that stuff, is because we are in a kind of a flux back to balance with that. And so in order to do that, we have a lot of dark mother, dark feminine energies coming out that nobody really knows what the hell to do with. They're all kind of like, whoa, what's this? This is not rainbows, daisies, and unicorns. This is nasty, raw mud, slinging, bury in quicksand kind of energy. And women are embracing that because of the breakdown. So I think it's a really, really important thing that we have to talk about, that we have to understand. And when, we have men and women work together, or it's very competitive. We're moving into more co-creation, being able to co-create, go back and forth, do that flow, get that flow moving so that we can, really tap into that. And I think it's that some people just don't know how to do it. Some people do. And then they get to a certain point and they drop off the map because they just don't know what else to do with it or where to take it, because nobody's ever shown them how to do it. So as a man, Mark, what do you do with that energy?
Well, there's a couple of things. The first thing is awareness, and you have to have the awareness that what I think that are what we tend to do, especially in America and the Western world, is we think that our sexuality or our conquest is going to replace the nurturing that we feel that we were lacking in our childhood, that we maybe didn't receive from our own parents. And so you have to embrace this concept or this notion, Hillary, that you are beautiful, magnificent, and you begin to really feel the love that you have for yourself, toward yourself, and you allow yourself to be nurtured from within, rather than seeking nurturing or fulfillment from the external world, and then that becomes reality. The other thing I would mention would be, if you look at like Egypt or some of the older cultures and compare that to Christianity, and let's say that we use the symbol of the Ankh, right? The Ankh, and if you were to superimpose that on the body, you would notice that as the life force goes up, it also comes back down into the body. And if a male would learn, whether you do it in tantric or just breathing, to pull up the sexual energy from the root chakra and bring it into the heart chakra and into the third eye or the pineal gland, and then pull it back down. This is also a qigong exercise called fire and water, where you're revitalizing the energy of the spinal cord and bringing it up into the heart, bringing it into the pineal gland, and then bringing it back down into the heart and back down into the solar plexus. And you're just recirculating. You're literally creating a flow, an internal ankh of energy that is designed to regenerate and rejuvenate the body, and that's using the sexual energy in a healthy way. Now, if you notice in Christianity, if you were to superimpose the cross, the body, the energy leaves, and that's the concept of the resurrection. So they got away from that, or they ignored the idea, the original idea, because we know that the ankh is a much older symbol than the cross. And so the original idea was for people to take their sexual energy and use it as a way to remember God and to experience God and to embrace God and to bring that force back into the body rather than always just releasing it. And so in my opinion, the two symbols, the ankh or the cross, kind of represent how people flow energy in their body, especially sexual energy. And so I would encourage people to practice that, to get that energy to flow as if you have an ankh. Or you can go to YouTube or Google the fire and water exercise as taught by Qigong masters. So those are the kind of the two things that come to my mind when I think about how we need to restore that. And, well, there's so many other things, but we have to get out of the concept that sexuality is dirty, shameful, and bad, and that it's, Deepak Chopra talks about, when we return sexuality to the sacred, then that's one of our greatest gifts, and it helps us remember who we really are. It's really, David Data wrote the book, Discovering God Through Sex, and it was about, what I'm talking about here is, recirculating that sexual energy as if it was the flow of the ankh, that comes back down into the body.
Yeah, I think it's really important that people understand how to do it. But, I think when it comes to putting it into practice, we have to remember that we have to practice. It's not going to be something that comes like instantaneously, and you don't have to. So, I also, feel really strongly that like sexuality and spirituality have been separated like church and state, or church and women, or, some other kind of, taboo subject where it's been just kind of stripped away, where you just don't talk about it, or it's something that you're supposed to just shove away and pretend doesn't exist.
But that is your spirituality. That your sexuality is your spirituality.
Well, it's part of it, and it's certainly part of the multidimensional experience, because, when we take away the physical and just devalue it and say, well, we're not our body, and we're not ego, and we're not this, and we're not that, that's fine.
Right.
However, when you need it, it's there. You have to give.
Right, sure.
When you have to give birth to a baby, your body is certainly participating. When you have to, settle some business contracts, it certainly helps to have a very strong ego, in the sense that you can go in and handle the pressure and the stress and be able to work the energies within certain situations such as that. And so, it's really about integration. And I think people have to realize that it's also something that you need to practice. It's not something that you're just going to understand right away. We certainly have not been taught it, and it's been kind of hidden into the esoteric meanings of all different levels of understanding across the board, across the globe, in different religions. It's there, but it's hidden, and you have to learn how to find it, or even have an interest in finding it. And I think, with so many outlets for men and women to get their sexual energies out, and in a very dysfunctional way. If you look at the porn industry, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. We have people who are addicted to those kinds of things. They don't have a way to relate to another human being. The human resonance factor is often often missing in intimate exchanges that people just have never really seen. On the other hand, I believe if you go back to the Egyptian culture and you look at some of the symbolism that took place or that we see today, you have the serpent coming out of the forehead, and when you have a sexual experience, it's absolutely able to raise that energy straight up through all the chakra systems, out through the pineal gland, out through the forehead, and then you can actually feel a heat energy come out that way. But you have to be able to open yourself, and men and women alike, no matter what their preference is or how they do it, it's something that they have to be able to allow to happen. They have to be open. They have to be able to be willing to get out of their head to allow the body to function as a higher biological technology that it's made to be, so that we can have these kinds of out-of-body experiences, these kind of shared out-of-body experiences where we have that with our partner, or we're able to get into that space. And so what? We're talking about this and people are going to say, well, that's great, but so what? What's the point? Why bother doing that? Who cares? You can get the same effect in meditation. Why do I need to go interact with other people? Well, the answer to that question basically is because two are better than one. And when you have two people and you're doing that kind of exercise, it's like two galaxies, kind of interfacing and merging together. So you have stronger energy, you have shared energy, and it's not just you doing it. It's not just you creating that kind of force field. You're doing it with another person. And we all know the power of prayer in large groups or meditation in large groups. We see the effect once we experience that. And so it's the same thing with sexual energy. It's the same thing. It's multiplied, when we do it with our partner. And so it's something that the divine male and divine female energies are learning how to restructure within their magnetic fields. We're talking about this grand pole shift on the sun going to happen. NASA has announced that, it's going to happen over the next few months. And, we're all sitting in an anticipation. It happens every 11 years. It's not like the world is going to end, but we are certainly feeling it because we are all connected. And that interconnection certainly plays a big factor in everything that we see, think, feel, dream, be, do. And so, if you're tracking that, and that's something that's on your radar, and you're taking a look at that and you're following that, I'd like to ask a question. What does it feel like when your own inner poles shift, every 11 years? Because maybe that's what's happening. People can think back 11 years ago. Well, what was I doing 11 years ago? Well, I'm sure if you think hard enough, you'll remember maybe you had some big changes going on. It really just is personal and unique to each person. But these are very, very precarious times in the sense that we have a wonderful opportunity to really connect, to really seek, to really align ourselves with what we really want to be doing and what our path is and what our calling is and how we're going to manifest that and co-create it with other people. Because it's not just about us going out and changing the world. It's about us interacting with other people in the human resonance field. So this is something that a lot of people have come to me, in private sessions and talked about this, or, asked about how these energies work and, the twin flame element. Next month right here on Achieve Radio, I'm going to be doing a series of shows with some very powerful women, and we're going to be talking about feminine energy and the shift through all the way through the fall equinox, and how to attract your twin flame and how to recognize it and how to really deal with the energies when they come in, because we really are there, but we don't want to just reach out to anybody. We just think that, oh, well, you're it. Well, maybe you're not it. It has to be like a reciprocal thing. And so we're going to talk about that. In fact, first week of September, I have a woman joining me from London who has written a grand novel on this very subject. And we're going to be doing readings online here on Achieve Radio. We're going to be taking some calls, hopefully, and talking to listeners about their experiences. But she certainly has enough to fill the show. So it'll be an interesting thing. So, Mark, have you met your twin flame?
I joke about this, and I said this for years, that everyone wants a soulmate, but no one ever takes a moment to discover their own soul. And I have not, I would have to say, I have not met my twin flame. One of my friends, Maria Shaw, who is an astrologer, I love her book, is Soulmates or Cellmates. And sometimes we have this concept of a soulmate, and we find a soulmate, and then they become our cellmate, and it's because I think we really have to come into that place where we are, in love with ourselves, and not in a grandiose way, but we discover that, the kind of the theme, Hillary, that has been coming to me in the last month is, really discovering your own self-worth and really discovering your own self-value, and that you do have value, you do have worth, and that we don't strive to become a man of success, but we strive to become a man of value, or a person of value, or a woman of value, or however you want to phrase it. And we get so caught up we are out for getting things. And if you're always out for get things or for getting things, then you are forgetting who you really are. And so the message that I've been getting a lot is to discover your self-value, discover your self-worth, and to really honor that, and to have love and compassion for yourself. And I think that's when you realize that you don't need a love outside of yourself, then that's when you have this concept of what some people would call the one, or the twin flame. But one of my favorite quotes from Abraham is, don't choose your soulmate, choose the person that enables you to be the best, that enables you to feel the best about yourself. And that's, I really like that quote, or like that concept. And
I like that too. That's actually really nice. I like that thought.
Right. And, be with the person that enables you to feel the best about yourself. Because when you're happy and when you're feeling good about yourself, then you really have a lot to share with the world. But if you're unhappy with yourself, then you really don't have anything to offer. And I think we get caught up in that. We have that right person, or that ideal person, then they're going to make us happy. Or if we have that, Mercedes-Benz, that's what's going to make us happy. Those things come and go, but you've got to be content and happy with where you're at.
I think it's really about, I have to interrupt here because I think it's really also about, being able to also be real and authentic and not worry about people seeing your non-beautiful side. There's a great song that just came out. I forget the artist. Let me see beneath your beautiful, because really, people are always putting on some kind of, they're choosing the facet they want to show you, basically. Most people, during a relation building kind of stage. And they're showing you what you may want to see, or what they think you want to see. And, when that facade drops, or they see some kind of darker side of you, oh, well, you're not that, and you're not spiritual, you're a fake or a fraud or this or that. I feel very strongly in my heart that this is something that we all have to address as humans, that, to really, really connect with somebody. Sorry, guys, but you got to go there. You got to be able to go into someone's shadow. You have to be able to go into somebody's underworld and come out the other side and be able to ride it. And if you don't have what it takes to do that, then you're not doing it through yourself. And if you're not doing it through yourself, then you're not able to do it within another person, because this is, again, I go back to my statement. This is my story, and I'm sticking to it. It is not about rainbows, daisies, and unicorns all the time, and happy little fluffy clouds.
Hillary.
I know, Mark. I know you want it that way. You just can't have it. And quite frankly, I think you would be much happier if you were willing to go into somebody's dark side and be able to hold the energy, hold the light for them, and also hold witness for what they're going through. My grandmother's dying. I've been sharing some of this on Facebook and my blog and stuff, and I've been talking about the death process lately because she has been designated with terminal liver cancer, and it's metastasized throughout her whole body. So she's really just on the edge, but she's really good with what she's doing. She's okay with dying. She's ready, and she's so honest, bluntly honest about what she's doing and how she's going to go, and she can talk about the death process and how her body is dying and how it feels and what her dreams are like. And I've been sitting with her most of the time, on and off. I have other family members come in who spend time with her, so I have a break or I can go do what I have to do. And, they're not having those conversations. And she said to me today, in fact, she goes, you're the only one that can come really and sit with me and talk. And when I ask you if I'm dying, and she's got that twinkle in her eye because she's had a fantastic sense of humor her whole life. And I look at her and I go, yes, you're dying. And then we laugh. We just sit there and laugh. And then she really she talks about her dreams to me. I ask her, well, do you think the time is close? Yep, I know it's close. I can feel it. And, I know people generally in the New Age movement say, well, the body doesn't die. Well, we don't die. There's no such thing as death, but there is such thing as death to the body. And we're still in the body until we leave the body. And so it's a unique experience. It's very real. It's also very tangible. And it's also a very sacred, special moment when you actually have the balls to talk about it and to really face it and to not sit there and sugarcoat it and pretend that it's, not happening or, and when you have a family member who's there and able to do that, oh my gosh, embrace it because it's fantastic. It's a wonderful experience. I'm seeing things. I'm witnessing my own transformation in many ways too, because I'm being immersed into these real moments that are just filled with these fantastic opportunities for reflection. And it's not all happy. And I finally figured it out, Mark. That's what bothers me is when love is all happy. Happy, 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 happy love. Happy, happy, happy love. It's all happy. No, it's not. It's not all happy. Sometimes it sucks, and sometimes it's scary, and sometimes it's intense, and sometimes you want to run away, and you just want to just say fuck it and just run off. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I hope I don't get in trouble for that. But anyway, that's the truth, and that's how it comes out. And so the same thing is with spirituality. It's not all pretty. Sometimes you have to walk through your own stuff and you have to really face it. And then you have to face what other people see and say to you, especially those who you are allowing into your sacred space, who have been a part of your heart or you have love for. You have to deal with how they see you and what they say about you and how much that hurts. And, you have to go there and you have to find and make peace with that and, make a decision on how you're going to handle that. People get divorced all the time. And I don't know too many people who say, hey, it was the greatest experience of my life. Right? I mean, it's hard. You're breaking up connection. You're breaking up resonance. You're breaking up a life. And, and we have to go through the mud. And this whole love thing, love should be mud. We should all take a mud bath. We should all take a mud bath and then roll around in the mud and say, this is what love feels like. It's dirty and it's sticky and it's not pretty, but then it dries and it pulls all the toxin out and then you go back in the water and you feel better. So the thing is that, divinity, accepting divinity and being able to move into your Adam or your Eve and accept that divinity really is a tricky thing because what it takes, I think, it also is somebody else sharing that vision of our higher self. Imagine if you're in relation with somebody who really shares that vision of you as a divine person and as a special person, as somebody who's gifted and talented and a bright light in the world and also lovable even through the mud and all the other stuff that comes into it. And, it builds you up in some way and it also empowers your own ability to believe that vision and to move forward with it and to manifest it creatively somehow in the world without going to your head. And, the resonance that's happening between the divine male and the divine female within as archetypes is also the same thing, the left and right side of the brain. Being able to cooperate between reason and intuition, discernment and spontaneity. Where do we find the balance? Why do we have a great divide between the two halves of the brain? Maybe evolution is about healing that division.
Well, I don't think we trust. I don't think we trust. There's, the model for trust in the planet is, or the best known model for someone that trusted this thing we call God with every fiber of its being was crucified or was set, and I tend to feel or believe that Yeshua, survived the crucifixion, and he went on to have children with Mary, and they ended up in the south of France. But even there's that, the stigma that if you really trust God with your whole heart, and you allow that divine energy to flow through you as you, then there's serious consequences. And so there's that whole matrix of not trusting that being divine. And you see that there's other parts of the world, like Mexico, or they're waiting for the return of Quetzalcoatl. So it's a story. It's a energetic matrix that has been introduced to the culture and consciousness for many years, or for thousands of years. And I think we have to give ourselves permission that it's safe to allow the gifts of God, whatever God is, to flow through you, to be intuitive, to be creative. One of the things I posted from Abraham the other day was about, any disease, anything can be reversed in the body, and it's really not a miracle, it's just the natural state. And we have to return to that natural state of that, the word human.
Trust. I think I trust you is more powerful than I love you.
Right, exactly. That's right. You're 100% correct. That's correct.
Don't you think so? Don't you think so, Mark?
Yeah.
When you say I trust you, it creates a more sacred space than even the words I love you. I think the words I love you, people get stuck on that, and it comes with a connotation buildup of lifetime of Valentine's Day cards and little notes. Do you like me? Yes or no? Okay, I love you. Love you. Love. It's kind of,
sure.
Love is kind of like this overplayed sock, this overworn sock that we just put on over and over, and eventually it just is saggy and just doesn't do it anymore. But when somebody says, I trust you, or you inspire me, or, I feel you, or some kind of, it's a different way of describing this powerful love that's really manifesting on the planet right now. We have such a unique configuration of events going on this planet. And not just on the planet, but in the stars above us, but mostly on this planet, because our planet is going through the emanations of the sun. And as the poles flip, the neutral magnetic field, that usually emanates from the sun, that is usually pretty still, is now going in these big emanating waves. And so it goes through the planet and goes through us and goes through all of this. And if we allow it, we ride it, and we life surf through it, then we end up finding our way to things that are very special, very sacred, and we're really being asked to honor each other. I mean, how do you honor your partner, guys? Everybody listening, how do you honor your partner? How do you honor the opposite sex? How do you walk up to an important male figure in your life and honor him? And how do you walk up to an important female figure in your life and honor her? And how do you keep it going without expectation of having something come back to you? Because so many times we get stuck in this, okay, well, I honored you and I did something nice for you, and now you owe me.
Now you're going to better do this for me, otherwise...
Yeah, you owe me. You owe me because I'm nice to you. Well, that's not going to cut it anymore. That's the old way of doing things, and the new way of doing things is honor without attachment, honor without strings, honor without any kind of fuzzy lines going on or anything like that. Clear cut honoring. I have made the decision that people in my life who I love, I will just consistently practice honoring them in whatever way I can, and as often as I can, and in any situation as I can, and I'm certainly trying to put that talk to walk with my grandmother passing. I will honor your life by listening to you. I will honor you by taking care of your physical needs, by sitting with you, by simply holding space. So when you go to sleep and wake up, somebody is there. And I am finding a lot of tremendous, wonderful things come out of that for myself, and it's very transforming for me. And she talks about how that is for herself. It's about relation. It's about being humane humans. And
well, one of the things that I would add is, you have to honor yourself. You have to honor, your own gifts. You have to honor who you are. And, I've said this for years, that, and I know that Michael Beckwith's got a book that came out last year that's called The Answer Is You. And I've been telling people that for, 17 or 18 years now, that, it starts with you. There's no one else. And you really have to honor and value yourself first, because if you don't honor and value yourself first, then how can you possibly give that to other people?
Have you ever run away from a very powerful love, Mark?
Have I ever
run away from a very powerful love?
Sure. Yeah.
Why?
Because my program says that if I feel deserted, then you're not going to be there in the morning, or if I really love you and I'm really intimate with you, then some morning I'm going to wake up and you're not going to be there. So it would be far easier for just to shut down and run away from you first.
Oh, that's familiar. I think a lot of people can relate to that, don't you? Old programs.
I've said for years that if you're in a body, you got work to do, and I hear a lot. There's a lot of people that say they're so and so from the 10th dimension, and this. It's no, you're in a body. You got work to do. So.
Well, I mean, you're here. You can access the 10th dimension, but you got to know how to bring it back to the physical, right?
Right. Well,
I mean, we're talking about sexuality. We're talking about having sex with our divine partners. I mean, it's great if you're in the 10th dimension, but you still got to come back to the 3rd dimension to do anything productive.
That's correct. That's right. Absolutely.
Old programs are important for people to understand. They're important for us to track within ourselves. And if people ask us permission to help them track their stuff, I want to make that very clear, that it's really important to ask people permission, to have permission to go into somebody else's sacred space. It's about honoring. It's about respect. And you don't want to be invasive. You don't want to just present yourself to somebody and say, oh, I see everything that's wrong with you and everything that's going on with you and this and that. And you're going to, So you have to ask people, can I work on you? Can I do body work on you? Can I go into your sacred etheric space? Can I dream with you? I don't dream with anybody that I don't give permission to.
But Haley, this is Sedona. This is Sedona.
You're in Sedona. I'm in New York. Well, I mean, is it different in Sedona? I mean, do people just walk up to you and say, this is your problem?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
They do?
Yeah.
You do? Well, I've never had that happen to me. I've been to Sedona. Nobody's ever walked up to me and said anything.
Well, I work in the public a lot, so we get people that come up to you and start saying things a lot. So
give me an example. Give us an example. What do they say?
Oh, just my quote daytime job is a nighttime job as a restaurant server, and people come up to you and say, "Oh, I just want to tell you about your aura," or they'll say, "This chakra seems to be out of balance. Did you get into an argument today, or something?" And that, I don't know, maybe it's just me, maybe it's just what's going on in my energy field, but
they say that to you. They say that to you as a server? You're waiting on people, you're giving them their meal, and they say that to you?
Or they'll say that to me, or they'll say it, or you'll see it when you're walking in downtown Sedona, people come up and they'll just, make some conversations. Kind of, the big thing in Sedona where you go into like a, sort of they'll say, well, do you want a reading? And I think that's kind of how some of the intuitives here will get someone interested in a reading by just throwing something out there than,
okay.
To the store, so.
Got it. Well, guys, in Sedona. I hope you're listening. I love you. I love Sedona. I was just there in April. It was fantastic. Beautiful, beautiful place. They say the energy is leaving there. I don't feel it whenever I drive through. I love it there. It's just fantastic. But it does bring up a good question of doing that, walking up to somebody and saying, "Wow, you're really unbalanced, and you should have a reading with me and pay me." I mean, that's just. Okay, Okay, so anyway, moving on. I think you're okay. So anyway, I don't want to make people really upset, but it's just not a good thing to do. You just do it like a business, like everybody else does, and advertise and do it the right way, and just do it. But really, when somebody walks up to you in that space and they say, "Wow, this is all that's wrong with you," it's very rude. It's psychically rude to do that. You need to. You need to ask permission. My good friend Lorraine Rowe, who I hope is listening to the show, she's a psychic, and she works as one in L.A. She's currently in New York. Her husband works on the America's Got Talent show, so she's here while they're filming at Radio City Music Hall. And we've had many conversations like this. In fact, she's talked a lot about it, being psychic, and she has a book and whole big thing called Psychic Housewives, and how to really embrace your psychic abilities. And you, Mark, have done this with children. You're the Conscious Children's Network. So do you teach people, when you work with people, to have that boundary where you ask permission first before you invade their sacred space in that sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You did. That's the most important thing, because that's honoring someone. That's showing them respect, and you definitely want to get their permission, before you just go up and start spouting off information. So absolutely, yes.
God, in New York, somebody would get punched. In New York, somebody would just punch them. They just wouldn't take that. Okay, moving on. So we have this with this, the boundaries, discerning, being able to move into somebody's sacred space, being able to honor them. I think honoring comes along with the lines of boundaries and discernment, asking permission. You don't just want to open up the floodgates on somebody and pour it all on like syrup, because they'll end up getting tarred and feathered and running away thinking you're trying to kill them. So you don't want that to happen either. And, so it's about balancing sacred spirituality with divinity, with being able to know who you are. I absolutely agree. And once you know who you are, other people will start knowing who you are too. And that's a scary thing for some people. I think fear enters into it in a lot of different cracks along the way when we talk about these subjects, because it's just because of our conditioning and the kind of society in the West especially that we've grown up with. But I've also seen it in other countries. So I don't think it's just a Western thing. We have pain, we have heartache. And someone said to me recently, which I love this thought, is that, how do you let love in without your heart being cracked or broken in the first place? So it's almost like a catch-22. We have to know the feeling of heartbreak in order to know the feeling of love ache.
Yeah, it's kind of almost like a country western song there, but it's very true.
I hate country music. I do. I'm sorry. I'm in a mood today. I don't know what's wrong with me. I think it's because, I'm sitting with a dying woman and we're having all this real talk. I just have not been, I've been like this. This is something that's happening to me, Mark, like real time. What should I do?
Just be patient with yourself and keep breathing. I like
it, though. I like it.
Yeah.
I don't want to be patient with myself. I want myself to be like this more often. This is great. I'm enjoying it. I'm smiling for no reason.
One of my favorite authors is Barbara Marciniak, and she put a quote out that's been around Facebook for the last few months about, instead of absorbing other people's energy and vibrations, you want to be at a point where you are emitting your own frequency, that you are emitting your own frequency, and you are the one that's doing the imprint. And I think a lot of us that are intuitive, that are psychic, we really tend to absorb a lot of stuff from other people. And you might be, at work one night in a great mood, feeling good, going to have a good night, or during the day, and all of a sudden you have a headache, you feel angry, you feel grumpy. That's because you allowed someone to tap into you. And it's one of the things that's really important is to really, immerse yourself in what I call like a translucent light. If you are, and not a white light, because, in the land of duality and polarities, when people usually visualize white light, it's really easy to attract darkness towards them. So when you have a neutral light or a translucent light around you, it really helps you stay in your own space, your own groundedness, and to have that protection is really essential, especially with children who are so sensitive and so intuitive that, parents work with their children at putting, a kind of a translucent bubble around them. I think that's very, very important.
I think it's also important to let them play in the mud.
Yes, yeah.
I really do.
It is, yeah.
So all you parents out there who are raising psychic kids, that's great. Put them in the white bubbles, but let them go out into the mud and play in the mud and get dirty, and let them. We have to teach our kids how to get back to who they not even get back, because they're there. We just have to allow them to stay there. We always want to fix them, and we always want to make them this or make them that, or allow that to happen. And for the masses, that's what it is. I know for most people that listen to Achieve Radio, you're already there. You're doing the work. You're in tune to the different dimensional aspects of what we're talking about. But then there's other people who just have not even heard of it. They have no idea what the chakras are. Oh yeah, when you have sacred sex, ride it up through the chakras. What the hell are you talking? They look at you like you're insane and you need to be locked up someplace. So we have to start finding ways to be relevant and interactive with people who do not speak our languages, who do not understand the things that we've spent the last 20 years or so learning. We attract like-minded people, but we now have to start reaching out to unlike-minded people to really be able to start continuing to open up this avenue of authenticity, because people are just they're caught in this kind of shell or net or whatever it is, the 9-to-5 cubicle jobbers, the people who go back and forth to work and don't care about anything but what's on the news, and whatever's told on the news sinks in. Well, for conspiracy theorists, who I consider myself one, at times I go into these and I still post about it, but right now I'm trying to back away from it a little bit. Just posting it on my public Facebook page and, following the articles, but not really going into it the way I have, because the energy traps you. You people get trapped into the conspiracy. The world's going to blow up. We all need to wake. Well, we could all wake up, everybody, in our authenticity, and be, like Barbara Mostiniak says, our own generators of frequency, because I love that statement, and I think that's completely relevant to what we're doing right now. And as we resonate our own frequency and become generators of frequency, our own unique one, then we give people permission to do the same, and our interactions are much more relevant. They're much more real. It's not fake, false jibber-jabber that just, makes you want to vomit every time you're around it, because you just can't stand the mediocre, actions. You can see through it. You have gone beyond the beautiful yourself, so you go beyond the beautiful of other people. But and some people think shallowness is beautiful, so that's what they project when they meet you in those situations. I'm not saying we all have to walk up to other people and be like, well, hey, and just do them straight. At least give them a little bit of warm-up time, But I really believe that the next step, I've been doing a lot of meditation on this, and a lot of thought and a lot of channeling work in my private self here. And what keeps coming through is a very clear statement that it's time to start reaching out above and beyond our boundaries, our borders, our efforts to have to kind of keep the big fence up and not cross over to the other side where we might not be, quote, safe. And, we see this reflected in the macrocosm out in the world by way of the TSA, the NSA, the whatever SA, all the stuff you have going on. Because really what that's reflecting is an inner TSA, an inner NSA. No secrets to self. And, no more prison walls set up. Get on whatever plane you want, go to whatever gate you want, make an effort to go to whatever destination you want, and you don't have to worry about what you're wearing, what's in your bag, and all of these ridiculous fear game rules that we are watching. Really, guys, if you believe everything's a reflection on the outer self, well, guess what? That platform, that level of world stage global macrocosm is a reflection of what's going on in the majority of minds of human beings on this planet. So if we don't want it, guess what? You have to stop doing it to yourself. Stop telling yourself you can't cross that boundary because whatever's going to happen. You might blow up. Something might happen. Who knows? You have to just do it. You have to just go, how much love can you handle? How much love can you handle? Mark?
I can handle more than enough love.
Well, go beyond that. Go beyond that. Now you go beyond
Absolutely. Oh, I think we have to all realize that we're all wonderful human beings with so much to share. And, we are afraid. We're afraid of sharing of our knowledge, of our gifts or intuition, because we have maybe it's a fear of it being taken advantage of, or we're afraid that if we really share our gifts, I think I put this on Facebook, that if we really share our gifts, that somehow that gift is going to be used to harm us or betray us or something like that. So we tend to dismiss our gifts, or we tend to we tend, what's the term, the reluctant Messiah. We are, we all need to come out and proclaim, our inner divinity, and say that we are, children of the Most High God. And, Willie Nelson, I love good old Willie, and he says, isn't it time that we started acting like children of the Most High God?
I love that, reluctant Messiah.
The reluctant Messiah.
I love that. I love that thought. I love what that does to my mind when you said it. It was great. The reluctant prophet came to mind too.
The reluctant prophet. Right, exactly, yeah.
People just not being able to go in fully into who they are. And that's part of becoming a human frequency generator. It's part of being able to open yourself up to all of the ethers. There's so much stuff going around about what's in there that's bad and ugly and scaly and scary and green and lizard-like and all this other stuff. But guess what? You are still a brighter light, a brighter frequency when you trust. Doubt kills life force. So if you can maintain your life force or empower it by way of co-creation, flow, accepting each other's divinity, sacred sexuality, all of those things help to empower your life force, then you can go into the etheric fields safe and totally confident that what you're doing is absolutely what's necessary. And that communication avenue between us and the other dimensions, they are dying for us to do this. They are like, come on, they're cheering us on the other side. That's why we see so much symbolism going on. That's why when we look out onto the headlines or into the world or into each other or outside into the trees, we see so much going on because they're trying to get our attention. They're trying to say, come on, break out, break on through to the other side, do it. They're our biggest cheerleaders because there is a level of communication going on that level that allows human beings to be able to hear, understand, see, and bring that knowledge back to humanity, which is what the Ascended Masters have done, which is what the living incarnated teachers have done, and they've taught others to do it. So many people get the teachings wrong. They approach it from a fanatical, read it as it's written kind of thing, but they don't allow themselves into the feminine principle, which opens them up to the ability to be able to intuitively follow what pops out on the page in a synchronistic way and then see where it takes them, so it brings them right to the information they need at that moment so that they can continue follow that train of thought. And as we know, thought is energy. Thought energy creates form. So we're in the process of watching a multidimensional birth going on through ourselves. But the brilliance of it all is that, like I said earlier, as we watch someone die, it's really about our own transformation. We really are watching others go through things, but it's also about our own transformation. So we're helping each other do that if we allow it.
Right. Oh, yeah, I agree. 100%. Yes.
So what's your message for humanity right now? Not like putting you on the spot or anything.
My message is that you're it. That you are the answer. We will take an Excedrin for the migraine, but it wasn't the lack of Excedrin that caused the migraine in the first place. So you're it. The way to world peace, the way to God, to whatever you want to call it, always has been, always will be through you, because you are it. You are the Alpha and Omega. You are the one. There's nothing that is out there. Like Michael Beckwith will say, there's nothing that exists outside of you, because you're it. And that would be my message, is that you're it. There is nothing else.
We have to allow that to come in and sink in. Mark, you are it. You are the one. Everybody listening, you are it. You are the one. Do you believe it? How many people can embrace that and let that in, let that really sink into the bones, into the deep, deep, dark places of ourselves that nobody else sees? Those are the kinds of things that we have to start doing now, guys. This is no longer about catching up on information, digging and going and following people around and being able to say, well, so-and-so said, I want to know what you said. I want to know what you think about it. I don't care what so-and-so says. I have an opinion about it, and here's what I think, and here's what I say. You are it. Good night, everybody. We're out of time. See you next week. Namaste.
Good night. Thank you. Namaste.